And the God of all grace, who called you to his eternal glory in Christ, after you have suffered a little while, will himself restore you and make you strong, firm, and steadfast. To him be the power forever and ever. Amen. For the first Peter chapter 5, verse 10 to 11. A blessed and good morning to everybody, to 11 STEM student. Welcome po sa ating bagong lesson. No? Ito po ang ang ating pong tatahaking po na lesson po ngayon is about the Earth's internal heat. Alam po natin sa mga nagdaang lesson po, especially nung midterm po, nagdaan po tayo sa mga ibang pagkakataon pagdating po sa Earth characteristic. Nakita po natin how the important of the Earth characteristics that we have. No, napansin din po natin what is the spheres or what is the subsystem of spheres na meron po sa atin sa Earth. Nakita rin po natin the theory, what is the behind the situation or the statement that we have about the Earth characteristic. So napansin din po natin nung midterm po no about the Earth's layer, no? Ano po yung mga layer po about Earth? Nakita rin po natin what is the core, what is the mantle, what is the crust. Pero mas lalo po natin matutunan o lalo po natin tignan kung ano pa pong meron sa tinutukoy pong Earth's internal heat. Doon rin po tayo dadako doon sa nabanggit ko rin po kanina about the core, especially didetalye po natin ngayon, which is the inner and outer, the mantle that we have on different mesosphere, the asthenosphere, the lithosphere, papunta tayo dun sa crust at yung tinatawag natin mga different continent. No? So, pag tinawag po natin na internal heat, ibig sabihin ito, the temperature, the very important is the temperature. No? Sabi nga rin po dito, each layer has a different temperature, composition, and density. So yung pong tatlo yung pinakamapapansin po natin. Ano po yung temperature nila, ano po yung composition and density. Mapapansin din po natin how the heat flow that we have, which is the convection and conduction. No? Mapapansin din po natin sila maya sa ating pong pag-uusap. But let's go back a little review about the Earth internal heat or about the Earth characteristic. If you think about a volcano, you know Earth must be hot inside. The heat inside Earth moves continents, builds mountains, and causes earthquakes. Where does all this inside Earth come from? So yun po yung babaunin po nating question. Natatahakin po natin sa buong lesson po about the Earth internal. Earth has hot heat when it formed. A lot of Earth's heat is left over from when our planet formed 4.5 billion years ago. Napansin po natin na ito po ay may history, no? Meron pa po tayong natatalakay po a little history because that Earth started out with a lot of heat, no? From the protosan, no? Which is the protos, nag-release po sila ng tinatawag natin na different protoplanets, no? Nakikita po natin na there are different sequence or step-by-step process na napansin po natin pagdating po kay Earth internal heat. No? Yung po sa pinaka-background niya, napansin po natin na different celestial bodies or objects po ang meron pa po na tinukoy po. What we have, the heat process po pagdating po kay Earth. No? Another idea po pagdating po kay Earth internal heat, this keeps a nearly steady temperature because it makes heat in its interior. So, pansin po natin na meron siyang extreme temperature below the surface, lalo na po dun sa pinakamailalim. Mapapansin po natin yun maya. Because the one element na tinutukoy po dito, which is the special kind of element, which is the uranium. No? Because when it's decays, heat is produced. It's this heat that keeps Earth from cooling off completely. So mapapansin po natin yon dun sa process make po pagdating po sa tinatawag po natin radioactive decay po. It's around 5 to 7,000 degrees Celsius on the core temperature po. Yun po yung estimated temperature po pagdating kay core. It's just about hot as the surface of the sun, but vastly cooler than the sun interior po. No? So, iba po rin po yung mapapansin po natin sa protosun at sa protoplanets, which is the Earth. The Earth's layer, mapapansin po natin dito yung density. Iba-iba po silang density from the inner, which is the solid, the outer core, which is liquid, no? Asthenosphere, yung po yung mantle, and then the oceanic crust, and na tinatawag po natin continental crust. Nakita po natin on the illustration yung different number of density po of each layer po. No? Next slide po tayo. The thickness of the Earth's layer. So ito po yung mapapansin po natin from the inner, outer, lower mantle, upper mantle. First, after ng upper mantle po, after po noon, asthenosphere, lithosphere, and crust. No? So it's around 300 kilometers from the surface. And then yung lithosphere po is 100 kilometers po from the surface. So mapapansin po natin, it's very important po, no? Yung tinutukoy po natin pagdating po dun sa bawat layer. No? Yung thickness po nila. Okay? Next slide po tayo. Ito po yung temperature na diniscuss po on the illustration with the layers from the crust to core. No? So, the more mababa, the more mas inner siya, the more mataas po yung degree Celsius po na ang layer po, which is the inner core. From the outer, from the crust, no, papunta po kay inner core. From the continental or oceanic crust, hanggang po kay inner core. Ito po yung nasa illustration po, yung mga specific degree Celsius po, temperature po ang meron po sa Earth layers po. Okay? Next slide po tayo. The crust. Explain lang po natin na mabilisan lang po. The crust is less than 1% of the Earth by mass. It's called thin, brittle, or bitak-bitak po ang ibig sabihin ng brittle, outer shell made of rock. Natatusan na po natin yon. What is the different type of rocks, which is the metamorphic, no, the igneous, and the sedimentary. In-identify po dito kay crust, pagdating din po doon sa tinatawag po natin thickness niya. No, it's around, average thickness niya is 35 kilometers. There has a continental and oceanic crust po. No, nandiyan po, binanggit po dyan, pakibasa na lang po natin, pakinotes po natin what we have on the continental crust and the oceanic crust. Okay? Next slide po, which is the mantle. Mantle is made of solid rock and it's hot. And it composed of 3 parts, which is the mesosphere, asthenosphere, and lithosphere. So mapapansin po natin that the lithosphere is part alanganin of mantle and alanganin of crust. No? Pero pure mantle, parts at asthenosphere, at pure part pa rin po yung tinatawag natin mesosphere. Ito po, si lithosphere po, nahati siya into 2 layers, which is the mantle and crust. Next po natin, no? What is the difference between the lithosphere and asthenosphere? Lithosphere po is more cool, no? Mas medyo malamig yung temperature niya. Crust and uppermost mantle is around 100 kilometers po. Asthenosphere is beneath the lithosphere upper mantle to the depth around about 660 kilometers. It's weak layer that is easily deformed. Po. So the different fracture po meron po pagdating po doon sa dalawa. At mapapansin po natin yung makapal na part po ni mantle, which is the mesosphere. No, it's very hot, but higher pressure keep this layer more rich. No, it's because of the high viscosity. No, pag pinibig pa sabihin po ng high viscosity, may extreme solidification o meron po tayong extreme process po of flow movement ng mass po doon sa ating mesosphere. No? When we talk about the high viscosity. No? Next po natin, the core. Alam na alam po natin yan since grade 3 or grade school. What is the inner and outer core? No? So, alam na po natin yung dense metallic center of the Earth, which is the core. The outer core, ang sabi po dito, is molten metal. Is part of kind of liquid iron. No? Metal po siya. Mapapansin po natin, molten metal po siya. But the temperature increased from 4,700 degrees Celsius. It's because the pressure increased from 1,000. No? Makikita po natin yung bigat pa rin po na pati ni core, which is the outer core. No? Pagdating po kay inner core, which is the high temperature that we have, because it is a solid. No? It's composed primarily of iron, Fe, with some nickel, represent of different that we have of the inner core. No? Solid inner core rotates faster within the outer molten core, which is yun po yung tinatawag nating liquid po liquid core, which is the outer core po, no? Heat flows into different ways within the earth. Ano po kaya iyon na mention po natin kanina po iyon, which is the conduction and the convection. Ano po yung importansya na meron po dun sa tinatawag po natin heat flows? Alam po natin what is the viscosity. No? The temperature, because of the temperature, the flow movement, yung bawat mass po inside the earth, nakikita po natin na yung process po because of the two different ways, which is first, conduction. It's transferred through rapid collision of atoms. It represents a different warmer and cooler places because of different of pattern of temperature. Kasi alam po natin from the cool process, from the cool object, alam po natin pag pinrocess natin siya sa hot or sa high temperature, nagra-run siya. No? Because of the process of heat flows, which is the conduction. Napansin po natin iyon doon sa temperature po doon sa ating pong mga layer po ng Earth. No? Convection. Ang sabi sa convection, it because of the rise of the rising temperature, maaaring pong maaaring makita po natin yung pinaka-process po dito sa illustration po nito, no? Alam po natin yung convection, nagpa-process po siya within the flow movement ng temperature. At mapapansin po natin from the hot temperature, from the high temperature, no? Papalabas siya, nagsa-cycle siya, umikot siya hanggang mapalabas siya doon, no? So makikita po natin, it's about 24% of the crust, which is the total interior heat flow. No, ito po yung percentage po ng heat flow o heat transport po natin palabas po from the inner and outer po. Makikita po natin yung pinaka-process po dito sa bagay po. At nakikita rin po natin from our midterm part po, which is the Earth characteristic, a little history po noon, nag-process po tayo about the Earth internal. Ito lang po yung lesson po natin for this week. At alam po natin ay matarget what is the important characteristic of the Earth internal, which is the composition, the density, and the most important is the temperature. Nag-process po tayo. Tinignan po natin. Baka po mapansin po natin, no? Nagkaroon po tayo dito, nauna po yung pinakalabas po, nakaraan yung sphere subsystem, which is the atmosphere, the hydrosphere, the geosphere, and the biosphere. What process that we have? Baka po apektado na rin po tayo, no? Kaya po napapansin din po natin, pumapasok mga lesson po natin about the global warming, about the greenhouse effect, etc. etc. So pansin rin po natin, napapagod din po ang mundo. Napapagod din po araw-araw. How about the different biosphere like our human, no, like us, no? Magkakaroon tayo ng different struggle po because of different human activity. No? Alam po natin ano yung mga human activity na tinutukoy po natin. The trash, the behavior of the people, no? So let's try to focus kung ano yung meron na pwede natin malaman pa na araw-araw nag-work yung ating mundo. Nakita lang natin yung labas. Pero yung panloob po, let's try to realize that this is very important. Okay po? So, God bless you all, STEM student. Nawa po, mag-guide po kayo nito sa inyong pagsagot po ninyo sa inyo pong quarter 2 self-instructional materials number 2. God bless you all. Thank you so much po. Nawa po ay napagpala po kayo. Thank you.